I think when Brad was about 16, maybe, his dad and I sent him to Checo.
Lori, my wife, she said, hey, you might get stuck over there, you can't get out. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, it's communists, they don't let anybody in or out, kind of. I said, you don't know what you're talking about, it'll be okay, I'm going there to race. The entire country was surrounded by a barbed wire fence 20 feet higher with machine gun turret guys every 20 feet and sand on both sides of it so they could see if anybody was getting even near the fence. And when I went in there, I go, God, this must be motocross heaven, the best place in the world. They got a fence to keep everybody out. But I didn't know it was to keep everybody in until later on.
After I saw that one race, I was hooked. On my first race, that would sound pretty crazy for the American fans, I think. To my first race, I rode my race bike to the first race. My parents were not supposed to know that I raced. I raced 3 races that they did not know. And I raced the first time DNF'd, raced the second time DNF'd, and the third race I won. So he would always read his paper by the stove, and there was a little strip in the paper, like about this big. And so he looked up to me and he goes, "What is this? Is that you?" Yeah. And well, how come you did not tell me? And well, you did not want me to race. 2 weeks later, there was another race, and he was with all his friends coming and watch. And you won 2 weeks ago. And he was all proud.
The disappointments of 1976 were motivation for Marty in 1977. But wars are never easily won, and old foes never disappear.
Wherever me and Hannah were at, we had good battles. Didn't matter what we were riding. We could have been on skateboards, and we'd start throwing our elbows at each other or something.
The battles moved to the 250 and 500cc National Series.
The tough series. Again, I was dicing with Bob the whole series. I started off with a decent points lead, and then I had a couple of bad motos, and next thing I knew, me and Bob were just like every point was counting. Where it came down to the last moto, and it was whoever was going to win the last moto was going to get the championship, and Bob broke a throttle cable.
And it picked up the clip that holds the cable in, picked it up, and when I went over a jump, shut off, the cable fell out, nothing. Just Marty comes by, and I just stand there watching him. Let's go over.
I was on cruise control the rest of the day, so that was a hard-fought championship that year.
That cost me $50,000, that throttle cable.
In 1986, Johnson had won the battles with teammate David Bailey and the war for the Supercross title. A freak crash before 1987 season would give Johnson and the whole industry pause in their dangerous profession.
If you saw the fall that David took that ended his career, you would say he could have done that 100 times and never have been hurt.
And when the smoothest guy and supposedly the best rider, the smoothest, most technical rider of all time crashes and breaks his neck, anybody can get hurt. And so you just stop. You stop and go, what am I doing this for? My reason for competing is gone. Nobody fought like him. I mean, he was Muhammad Ali and I was Joe Frazier, and we matched up great.
It was like the Rocky IV, I think, where you got Rocky fighting the Russian, and the Russian is just, he knocks him down, and Rocky keeps getting up.
He'd be smooth, I'd run into him, He'd cut me off, and I'd, run over his foot. And, I'd swap through the bumps, and he'd find a smooth way around. I'd crash into whoop-de-doos, he'd time them. It was a classic boxer, brawler confrontation that we had, and it was gone.
A recovering and weaker Hurricane roared back to full strength in 1981 at Saddleback, if only to prove a point.
If Howerton would have left me alone and not pissed me off, he'd have won that day. I've been off for a year. No way to beat him. He starts screwing with me. Banging in, passing me in chicken spots. I don't know if I flipped him off, he flipped me off, whatever. It got ugly, and finally I had enough of it. So I said, okay, that's the end of this. We go over a double jump, he gets set in the corner. I T-boned this sorry bastard, hard as I could. He wobbles, doesn't go down. I set up and bang him again. Totally intentionally. I admit it. I will break his leg. I'm sick of him now. Finally falls off, tries to grab me on the way down. I just go whoop. Really affected me because I couldn't even concentrate on the race. I let him back by. I don't even want to race with him anymore. I'm sick of him. The hardest 45-minute race of my life was the next moto. I beat him fair and square on a tub of shit 30 pounds heavier than what he was riding.